All right, we've got about 15, 10 minutes, something like that. I want to see if anybody has questions. Okay, we'll start forward, the blue shirt.
Magazines started because it became uneconomic to market very short pieces of writing. And so they bundled a bunch of short pieces of writing, marketed them, and sold them together. But new technology changes that equation. And in any case, no one's very good at selling these bundles anymore. I mean, none of you are selling vast sums of bundles to audiences. Is the answer to unbundle the magazine again?
Well, I don't know. I don't really think so. I mean, Amazon tried doing this Amazon Shorts program where they were selling individual short stories for like 50 cents or something. And I don't know that, I mean, I'm sure some of them probably sold pretty well, but I mean, if you're a first-time author, like, I don't think you're going to really get in on that action. I mean,
but bookstores have never been particularly good at pretending to be publishers.
Oh, well, yeah, but I mean, but if you're talking about anything other than electronic, I mean, how are you going to sell just like one short story? I mean,
that's been tried. I mean, Pulp House tried that way back,
And I remember
no one sells short
in the
stories
print world,
anymore.
Obviously, the print world. Like
well, I mean, there are anthologies that sell very well, and we're doing pretty well with Lightspeed. So I mean, it's not that people won't buy short fiction. It's I mean, the sort of general knowledge in publishing is, anthologies don't sell. Well, they do if you put together the right anthology. And I mean, the same thing is true of magazines.
I just bring something that came up at last night's version of this, in case anyone wasn't there. It was moderated by Liz Gorniski from Tor, and she said that they did an experiment where they essentially gave 60 stories or something to Amazon, that stuff, and they were amazed at how many downloads they got, but they didn't charge anything. So it wasn't really a fair test of sort of marketability, but they did get a lot of interest of people who were willing to download them to these things and read an individual story completely outside the context of a bundle. So it's something that may begin to happen.
I think if you think in terms of readership, you're seeing numbers that may be matching prints. If we're talking about those numbers, Tor probably gets a million page views a month. That may be a little high. A number of online magazines may be getting 10, 20, 30, 40,000 page views. And so I think at this moment, you may be seeing some sort of parity. In the future, you may be seeing online magazines getting that readership, whether it's paid or not paid, depending on what your business model, it may not matter. But if the point is to grow readership and reach 100,000 people or 200,000 people with an issue, then online may be the answer.
Well, I think one of the issues with individual stories is that there has to be some process of editing or curating the series of things, and one of the issues with like Amazon Shorts, it seemed to be like, well, like almost anybody could get in on it.
It's
like
sort of a grab bag.
And so you could get in on it, like nobody would find it. But I mean, like it would be like just a pool of slush along mixed in with all the like good stuff.
Right.
And it's like, well, somebody needs to go through that and point out what's the good stuff.
I think he's wondering, like,
Yeah.
more like, like John was saying, that he enjoys the fact that
Right.
some online places put up a new story every week, as opposed to doing a sort of issue-based.
Right, and that's what actually.
And that may, we'll see how that, obviously you guys will see, and if there are enough people who respond to that, it'll become a.
Those of you who have the business model that includes regular monthly productions, do you have a subscription rate that sort of parallels the print version? That is, if I buy a subscription, I can save some money per issue, and you notify me when the issue is available, as opposed to going to Kindle and buying each issue at the same price, regardless of whether I'm a loyal reader or not.
Well, at the moment, Kindle's not real. Kindle's close to most magazines. That's a decision they made. It's not on our part or anyone else's part. There's only 2 or 3 science fiction magazines on the Kindle that take subscriptions, and that was before they closed the door. If there was a choice, yes, magazines would be taking subscriptions on the Kindle, but we can't.
Right, and the other is if somebody asks to be notified, RSS feed or something.
Yes, there's a newsletter, you can be, that once a month, you get the newsletter that says there's a new issue, you can buy a copy.
Okay.
There are efforts to put in subscription systems, but that's going to take a little more time.
Thank you.
Well, again, RSS, obviously, you can subscribe to that will. But, I mean, you know, fiction-wise, actually, if you subscribe to any magazine for fiction-wise, whether it be FNSF or Lightspeed or, you know, anyone else who's on there, you can subscribe through those places. Well, I assume fiction-wise, or do they just sell us individually as well?
Individually.
Oh, really?
They
Okay,
wait-
they do sell subscription.
They wait 6 months
Oh, I
to a
see.
year to make sure the magazine stays.
Oh, okay.
Before offering
They don't
subscription.
get offered for free.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, so, yeah, we hope we'll see stuff like that more. I think I saw what, Tempest, did you?
Oh, never mind.
No, never mind.
This is a follow-up to the question about bundling or unbundling. And albums being albums that can be downloaded or individual songs that can be downloaded on iTunes. Is that being done with Narrative?
Well, no, I mean, it's an issue of rights. You know, the authors always control the rights to their individual story, so, you know, someone would have to create some vastly different business model for that to work. I mean, currently, authors license the rights of their stories to a magazine or an anthology, and it can appear in that anthology or magazine in its various forms, but the editor or whoever doesn't have the rights to that individual story to do what they want with it. So it's a matter of, like, sort of balancing, you know, income streams and whatnot. So it's like it would be vastly complicated to make that work. In an album, typically it's like, unless it's a compilation album, it's like, you know, it's all the same artist. So it'd be analogous to a collection, a short story collection instead of an anthology or magazine.
Well,
with
and
different authors.
the music business had long had a model of selling singles.
Mhm.
So for them, it wasn't weird to offer things that way as part of the contract, whereas in magazine publishing, right, the contracts historically do not give you that power. So we'd have to start getting writers to be willing to sign over that to Lightspeed if you wanted to let them download just one story. So it may go there, but it's the history of the business makes it a little tricky to get that set up the same way.
That's actually what I think the issue would be with the question of unbundling anthologies, is that readers are acculturated to, you know, the notion of value, where you get many short stories. You know, and one short story, it doesn't really feel as much like a value to a reader. There is, though, a project, I believe Nancy Fulda is running, called Anthology Builder. I don't know how many of you are familiar with it, where writers can upload whatever, many stories of theirs, and I think they have to previously publish. I think that's a rule. To this website, and people can make, you know, combine them in whatever way they want, print their own anthology. It's a POD thing.
So it's like a
And there's-
playlist.
yeah, it's like a playlist.
With stories.
And there's a small royalty, like, per whatever time someone uses a story of yours. And a lot of people, I know Jim Hines got in on that early. A lot of people are sort of poking at that to see what it does.
What was that called?
Anthology Builder.
One of the things that, like, medical journals are doing now, this is actually my field, is that there's a lot of things that they want to have come out quickly. And so they use the internet in order to put out something that's really important or timely, or, you know, that needs to get out to the public fast. And they put out one, this an e-publication, before print, some of them. Some of them it's only online. Some of them, when they get through 3 months or 6 months or something, they bundle all of those along with their regular print things, and they put them all in print. Which reminds me of we're doing only the selection processes.
So it looks like, I mean, we're basically down to 3 minutes. We got to be out of here shortly. Is there any final question that I might take? And if not, maybe just a last quick statement from everybody on the panel?
Yeah, sure. I mean, for me, it's always, and I mean, this comes from, we're not trying to do it as a business, but for me, it's always been just don't suck. You know, go out, try to find the best stories you can, keep your ear to the ground for authors, for ideas. Don't suck. People like things that don't suck, and the rest you can sort it out later.
Don't suck, and
Don't suck.
don't be afraid.
Yes, try
That's the other
things.
thing.